I'm at the Mont Ormel Memorial here outside where the Falaise Gap was. The Poles were fighting to help close the gap, but also to fight off the German counterattacks that wanted to keep it open. So this is the memorial itself, up here on the hill. And the museum's down the hill in that direction. So we'll get over here, get a better view, and check out the memorial. Here it just gives an explanation in Polish, French, and English of what happened here. I've noticed that the French and the English are a little different, so that's interesting. I'm not sure what the Polish says, to be honest. Direction Germans are trying to get out. Yeah, the Dieves is up that way. They're coming right at the Poles. And they're also coming at the Poles from right behind. Some people back there, I don't want to film right this second, but on the other side, right? Troops trying to keep this open. The Poles are trying to close it, right? Because they've done so at Chambois. This is one of the last positions that the Germans could get through while the fighting's taking place down in the valley, the Saint-Lambert. And the accounts of this fighting are just intense, right? The Poles were very angry for what happened in their country at the beginning of the war, but also what's happening to Warsaw during the uprising. Right? They're not happy with what the Germans are doing. And they are determined to stop them. And stop them they did. Polish tank, General Madrigrano. You can see the PL on the back of the Poles. And then there's Mace, Maczuga. I'm terrible at Polish, even worse than French. But for this area called the Mace, which this is the Mace in Polish. That's what they call the difficult fighting that took place here. Here's a little info panel about Stanislav Madrigrano, him and what he did, and all his orders and decorations, and quite the variety, that's for sure. Because he fought with the Austro-Hungarian army in the First World War, the Polish army, and then, as we all know, what happened to Poland. And from there, checking out if you don't know much about Madrigrano. And there's the man himself. Little memorial here, the bust, him in a tank. It's pretty cool. So I just moved over to the roof of the museum here at Mont Ormel, the memorial. You can come over here. It's not like I wasn't supposed to be. It's grass and wide open, so you can come out to get a different look on the other side here. Today I visited the memorial. Seemed to be a trend of my Normandy trip was lots of wind. So I was just saying originally in the video that as you pan over to the right-hand side, that is where the Allied advance is coming from. So straight ahead is basically where the Germans are trying to get out of the Falaise Pocket. Down in the valley below is the Dives River. That is the area they're trying to get through. That is the barrier that stops tanks, heavy vehicles, all that stuff. So that's why they're flooding through this area, because that's the only place that they can get across. I'm showing more of the valley, again, down towards the Dives, but also in the distance, I like to highlight here, is more of the high ground. You can see the other side of the Dives Valley way over there, again, showing the difficult terrain that the Germans have to get through, and also that the Poles have to defend, right? They have to defend in the direction we're looking, but also behind them, because that's where the counterattack is coming from. So again, not an easy area to hold. This information board is just up the road from the museum itself, as you can see there, discussing the fighting taking place at Mont Ormel. The map on here is a little bit better than the one up at the memorial itself because it gives better details of what's going on around it. How things were going in terms of the advance. So Armoutier is where the Germans are coming from, right? In the counterattack from the 2nd SS Corps. To keep this open, right? And then everybody else is trying to get across the Dives River, right? Which is an effective natural anti-tank barrier. So there's only so many ways across it, even today, right? You can see Saint-Lambert, Chambois, Mossy. This is why the fighting at Saint-Lambert-sur-Dives was so intense, because they were down to 1. This was the only place to get vehicles out. Yes, people can get across it relatively easily. Vehicles can't. So we're trying to get through here, and then they launch a huge counterattack on the 20th. But this is a really good map on the site of the Mont Ormel Memorial, and just a good info board. .262, the Mace, is an all-around defense. Right, you have the SS trying to keep this open from this direction here, right? And there's only so many ways in and out. Literally drove in that way, and I can tell you there's not much even today ways of getting in here. And I'm coming this way. Amazing vistas that the memorial offers visitors. It also highlights why this position is so important. It is a key piece of high ground controlling views over the valley, but also stopping those trying to get out or coming in. So this is an excellent point if you're ever in the area to go and look to see why the fighting on this side of Normandy is taking place the way it does. This is a key piece of ground to understand everything that's happening towards the end of August 1944. That really solidifies the Allied breakout of Normandy and into France. This is kind of that final phase of this chunk of fighting in Normandy. This position is also a good one to kind of visualize what the destruction of the Falaise Pocket would have looked like, right? Tons and tons of wrecked vehicles, killed human and horses, right, as the German army is not fully mechanized yet at this point. I remember hearing those who were coming into the area after the fighting had finished thought that there was fog in the area because they could see a haze in the distance. Turned out it was flies because of the mass number of dead humans and horses in the distance. Also, a professor of mine during my PhD related a story he was told by his uncle, I do believe, who was a mosquito pilot who did runs over the pocket. And he remembers the smell of what was happening below him. And that's quite remarkable if you know how fast the mosquito can go. Just explaining about the memorial. In the 3 languages, Polish, French, and English. So this is the way I came in from the museum. You can see that yield sign up ahead because I was looking at the spot where Rommel got strafed and the Tiger tank of Armoutier just before getting here. So I literally followed the path. Took a bit of a detour. I don't think the Germans went that way, but went a bit of a detour and saw the difficult terrain to come through here. Again, not easy. Not easy to move through. Even today in my little snappy German chariot, still very squishy. So trying to put a whole corps through here, or even what was left of it, and then all of these troops trying to get out. The Poles had a heavy task. I've just driven a few minutes away to the Canadian-Polish Memorial, just around the corner from the memorial, which is off in that direction. The road is over there. It's very easy to find from here. It's marked easily on all the maps. So this is pretty much where the 4th Armored was able to come after some delay, which was very controversial still to this day, and come relieve the Poles and pretty much bring this whole thing to an end. So this is where they came up through here, because we're still on part of the high ground up here. So they were able to link up and resupply them, get wounded out, and help hold off that last little bit of the counterattacks and close off the gap on the 22nd. So there's an information panel over here as well, showing where we are in relation to the memorial and to the Deves and everything else. So yeah, it's literally a straight shot if you were to go across that hill. So yeah, information panel here. So I've walked over just a little bit up the path from the information board, and it has a few before and afters on it. This one has some Shermans firing down the hill where they're taking some fire from, and then there's this forest here, forest path, not really sure where it goes, and then a bit of a forest here. So it just shows you the size of all of this, and I'll include a map in here in a second to give you an idea of how big the battlefield was and where the Polish positions were. I think it's just up here there's a tiger taken out. Just on this other side of this hedgerow here. There was more trees on the right hand side, not just that one that's not looking so good. And in this field here. So from the memorial, I'm working my way into Chambois and turn, and you can see the memorial way up there on the hill. So again, it's quite a dominating position, especially when you see it from a different angle. So those are some of the houses and the other side that you can see from up there. So quite a daunting task to get through here on foot, or or in a vehicle of some sort. Not an easy task, but yeah, I just thought I'd show the other side. It also gives you a better idea of how big 262 actually is, because we were at the memorial and then the Polish-Canadian memorial. There's a tree branch with my pointing that no one can see, and the Polish-Canadian memorial is on the other side. So it's quite a little big area to hold, and that's why they had such difficulty.